right, everyone, welcome back. It is just me today. Okay, we're on the MGM MarketAbilities podcast. We're doing something a little bit different today. Here at Growing Media, we usually have 2 or 3 people on, or we have guests on. And right now at Growing Media, it's just nuts. Like, we have so much work to do. We have a big event coming up called the Mid-America Music Awards. And if you haven't heard us talk about it, or if you haven't checked it out yet, please go to midamericamusicawards.com. Check it out. If you see this before October 5th, buy some tickets, come out. It's going to be an incredible time. Like, I know a lot of people who have, you've always wanted to go to an award show. Like, that sounds awesome, right? So I definitely encourage you to go to the award show, have some fun. It's going to be a great time. You get to dress nice and all fancy and stuff. And man, I feel like that's always fun. And it's on a Thursday night too, so it's not like it's going to take over your weekend or anything like that. It's in the sort of the middle of the week, and it's going to be nice because it's October. And I don't know, just come out. And if you if you see this or listen to this after October 5th, 2023, just hit up the website anyway and come to the next one. Or if you're an artist, enter. We would absolutely love for you to enter. We're all about getting artists to that next level and seeing them flourish. That's all we care about. So anyways, so the podcast today, it's probably going to be a pretty short one because, again, it's only me. And I think today I really just want to hone in on consistency. I think, of all of the skills that you could possibly have, especially relevant to marketing, is being consistent. And it's funny because I am like, I'm so inconsistent when it comes to like social media and actually promoting my own business myself. It's actually funny because, and it's like, this is how Growing Media used to be as well. But now that we have been consistent on Growing Media, our followers have risen, our views have risen, subscribers on YouTube have risen, and it's just funny that like that one skill can actually produce so many results. Even if you're like consistently bad, people are just being aware of you. Now, you shouldn't be consistently bad. You should be, good all the time, right? If you can, right? But man, there's something about being consistent. And, I think we all follow some creators who are like really spot on consistent. They post a video every day or every other day, or even multiple videos a day. And I follow some people who, they posted every day for like months with like, a few extra followers a day, a few sales a day, not enough to pay their bills. Right. But then they didn't stop. And I think that's the key. The key is to not stop, is to keep pushing, because I think there's a lot of, you've probably seen that image where it's like you were like a foot away from gold, right? Like if you just would have kept pushing for like 2 more weeks, you would have got it. You would have had that big breakthrough, whether it be in followers or money or whatever. So this is your message today, to push, to keep going, keep pushing, keep being consistent, because consistency is just one of those things that, like, if you open any success book, if you listen to like any podcast, right? Like, it doesn't matter if it's a marketing podcast, if it's about video production, if it's about, I don't know, whatever, it doesn't really matter. They will preach consistency at some point because it is just that big of a deal. And you can be a little lackluster in every other area and still be consistent and still produce great results. So, here's why. Okay. So like for me, so like I don't really post a lot, right? And so whenever I tell people, I meet people, say, hey, they're like, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm an audio engineer, right? And a videographer. And they're like, oh, I had no idea. Like, you never really post about it. Like, I never see you do that. And then I've got like people who are, let's just say, like posting a lot more than me, and people are just so aware, and they're getting phone calls all the time because they're constantly posting, because you can't just like assume that a post that you made is everybody's going to see it, because that's just not how the algorithm works, right? And especially not anymore. I think at one point on Facebook it did, right? Like right when it started off, but not anymore. Like, not everyone will see your post. But eventually they will if you just keep posting. You just keep putting the content out. You keep pushing. It's kind of like a form of advertising, right? Because like, what's the whole point of advertising is so that people can actually know who you are. And even if someone sees your posts like 2 or 3 times, they kind of like know what you do, and they could be a possible client or a possible person that you want to work with. The best thing you can do is just continue to keep posting, because a lot of people just don't, there's so much content on the internet, right? And there's so many things, and it almost feels like it's like too saturated or something. And that's all a lie, right? Like, there's always a place for you in the marketplace. And the reason I say that is because I believe that there are people that we are meant to work with. There are clients that we're meant to work with. And at any time, like, say I don't end up getting a music client that I wanted, and they ended up going with someone else, I thank God for it. And I'm like, hey, thank you, God. You probably, saved me from me and that client not melding well together. And that's okay. Even, cause my eye's not always, I think if you stay focused on just the money, you'll be like just saddened by the results a lot of the time, because I think it's more of like, you need to be consistently you, and you're going to then bring people who want to work with someone who is like you. Right. And that's only going to enhance what you do, because if you're working with people who you meld with together, who you can have like a good rapport together, and you guys can like just creatively, you guys just work together. Like, I have a buddy, his name's Ben, and we can produce songs in a day. Like, if you give us an idea, we can produce that song in a day. And in a week or 2, after I get it tidied up, edited, mixed, tune the vocals, all that stuff, we have a fully produced song in less than a week. And we can do that week in and week out, and we won't stop. And like, we wouldn't have to stop. And so if you can find people like that, and the only way you're going to find people like that is if you put yourself out there. But you have to put yourself out there and play the long game. Because if you just put yourself out there for a few weeks and you're like, oh, nobody wants to work with me. Well, that's not true. You only posted for 2 weeks, and you only I don't know how many people may or may not have seen that, right? So, but if you post for months and even years, you can't imagine the reach it's going to have. You don't even know, like, there are so many stories of people posting or, a video or something, and like 3 months later, that video takes off and it gets in the algorithm somehow, right? And then they start getting clients and sales and followers, or whatever your goal is. It's all about consistency and about being consistent to you. Okay. So I think that's it. Like, I don't know. So the reason that I want to do this is because there is this book that I've been reading, and I encourage everybody to read it. It's really, really good. It's called The Gap and the Gain by Benjamin Hardy. And it's blowing my mind right now. I'm only like halfway through it. And basically is a lot of us live our lives in the gap, which is basically like, man, I could have done better. I should have done better. You're focusing on the things that could have went better and totally forgetting about the things that went so well, and the things that, like your actual growth, because you're growing every day no matter what. And especially when it comes to marketing, if you're putting something out there, even if it's like once a week, that's still growth. You're still putting yourself out there. I'm just telling you to be consistent, right? Like, and you got to choose what your consistency is. I'm not telling you to post 7 days a week, unless you think you can handle it and you want that, and that's the type of person you are. But it doesn't have to be that. You can post 3 days a week. A lot of our clients at Growing Media, we post 3 to 5 days a week, and it's interesting because it's like, I think we need to explain it sometimes, because growth happens after the consistency, but the consistency can take a little bit. So it's like, I think there are times whenever you've been marketing, you've been pushing content out for 2 or 3 months, right? And you've basically hardly seen any growth. Maybe you got a couple hundred followers, maybe you got a couple hundred views. It just doesn't look good. But you have to look at it from when you started, when you had 0 views and 0 followers. And now 3 months down the road, you got 200 followers and 200 views. Now, no, that's not a lot. No, you're not even anywhere close to Mr. Beast. Who cares, right? Yeah, that's real. That's growth, right? And you can adapt and just continue from there, and it will only grow. I'm telling you, it will only grow, because we have this with some of the clients at Growing Media, where the first 3 months, it doesn't look good. Like especially on social media, like it doesn't look great. You got 50, 60 followers, like whatever. And then finally 6 months down the road, you start to see sales coming in, and you're just like, wait, hold on a second. This is all coming from social media. And yeah, it's because you were consistent. Like your social media profile was consistently showing up in the feeds, and people started recognizing it and clicking on it and going to the website and then clicking buy. And I mean, there you go, spiraled out of control, and it's all about being consistent. So just be consistent and play for the long game. Quit playing for, I need to make 10 sales this week or whatever it is today in the next 10 minutes. Like, no. Build something that will continue to grow and build as you grow. Does that make sense? I know it's a little confusing, but you have to grow something that grows with you is basically what I'm saying. And if you can do that, the sky's the limits for you, because if you're just having that continuous growth, living in the gain, not in the gap, living in the gain of life, where you should be living, because there's so much that you can do. There's so much that you can achieve that that it's basically endless, which is hard to understand and hard to perceive sometimes. But if you are in a continuous growth cycle and realizing that the growth never ends, the growth never stops, and it's including into your marketing, to your life, and to your relationships, whatever it is, like whatever your follower count, like you can make it continue to grow for the rest of your life, just by being consistent and not expecting results tomorrow. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you got a lot out of this, please drop a comment, like, and subscribe. We would absolutely love that. Let me know if you guys liked it with just me. I feel kind of weird just talking to a camera. I don't really do this very often. So yeah, let me know. And if you guys are interested in marketing, go to growingmediamarketing.com. Visit us on all our social accounts. We would love to chat with you. We'd love to hang out with you. We'd love to have you on the podcast if that's an option. Sweet. I'll see you guys next time.